Glee is a show that aired in the United States from 2009 to 2015. As a Brit, I remember it gaining popularity in the UK when I was in secondary school. All of a sudden, people I knew were referring to themselves as Gleeks, and while the show sounded like my cup of tea, I wanted to be a cool, edgy teen and not like the thing everyone liked. So I constantly called it stupid, despite never watching an episode. I only got around to watching Glee in its entirety during lockdown, and I'm going to be straight with you, I became a little obsessed. I finally got why people loved this show, to the point where now, half the songs on my Spotify playlist are Glee covers. But if there is one thing I've seen a lot of since being a fan of Glee, it's that other fans don't seem to like the character of Will Schuester very much. And Rachel Berry, but to be honest that's a completely different issue that I might cover on a separate video. It's become a bit of an inside joke to say that Will Schuester is a terrible or questionable teacher. I don't see it that way. Now, before you get out the pitchforks, let me explain. What made me first want to make this video was that while looking for reviews for the series as a whole, a common phenomenon was that people were using the character of Mr.Schue as a reason why the show is bad. But they never really gave a proper reason for this, most just stating that he's creepy and is too close with his students. The most viewed version I could find of this would be this video with 1.9 million views. Now this video is clearly just made as a joke, but I wanted to explore the things that this video describes as questionable actions by Mr.Schue, and try and defend them as best I can, because I do genuinely feel as though the character is seriously misunderstood by a lot of fans. So firstly there's the clip where Mr.Schue is watching Finn sing in the shower, and Finn's naked. You're not making this easy for me, buddy. No, but in all seriousness, this action and the one that follows as a direct result are the two hardest to defend. After hearing Finn sing, Will knows that he needs his strong male vocals in the Glee Club, and so he plants drugs in his locker in order to blackmail him to join. Now, even I will admit, that is pretty shady. However, I do think that Mr.Schue has Finn's best interest at heart here. When he is watching him in the shower, and yes, that is a sentence that exists, shut up, his voiceover says,
I suddenly realized why I had wanted to do this thing in the first place.
What I started fighting for.
It was seeing the gift in a kid that they didn't even know they had.
And I can't fight this feeling anymore.
It was pure talent.
And I think he means that. He only does what he does because it pushes Finn to actually do something he enjoys without worrying about what his peers think. You've also got to remember that this moment was actually addressed later in the series. At the end of season 3, Mr.Schue tells Finn that he was the one that planted the drugs, and he has been carrying around all this guilt for all this time, but Finn shrugs it off, and he actually thinks it's pretty cool. I can't really be mad at this moment because it's realistic. Sometimes in life we think we've wronged someone, only for them to be completely fine with it. I think this also plays into the relationship dynamic between these two. They've always had this sort of father-son, but also kind of best-friend relationship, which, side note, I've always been a massive fan of in other TV shows, and it really pays off in the more emotional moments of Glee. Now, arguably, the thing that most people dislike when it comes to Will Schuester is his treatment of the female characters on the show. I've heard people point out the time where he led Rachel on, the time he suspended Marley for not wearing a seashell bikini, and the time where he stood up for his right to sing blurred lines while students twerked around him. Let's go through those one by one, shall we? In the episode Ballad, Mr. Schue assigns each person a partner for someone else to sing a ballad to, but due to an absence of Matt, rest in peace by the way Matt, as I don't think we ever see you again after the first season, Rachel has to sing her ballad with Mr. Schue, which results in her developing a crush on him. I really don't understand the argument that Will leads Rachel on in any way. He even sings a mashup to her where the lyrics basically say, "You're too young, go away," and the episode makes a joke out of Rachel being oblivious to this message.
Do you think you understood the message I was trying to get across with that ballad?
Yes, it means I'm very young and it's hard for you to stand close to me.
In the end of the episode, Mr. Schue explains to Rachel that, despite what she may think, she is good enough to get a guy her own age, but he makes it perfectly clear throughout the episode that it cannot, under any circumstances, be him. Next, we have to talk about the Marley situation, and this one is difficult because I genuinely can't tell who's in the wrong here. It seems like everyone, but also no one. In a below-average episode called Katie or Gaga, the students have to pick whether they are more naturally like Katy Perry, the reserved all-American boy/girl next door types, or more like Lady Gaga, and not afraid to experiment with bizarre and out there ideas. Once they figure this out, Schuster sets a task to create a number that is the opposite of what they are, in order to expand their comfort zones. When the time comes for the Katie Turned Gaga group to perform, everyone but Marley gives it their all in relation to the assignment. However, it is heavily implied that Jake is pressuring her for sexual activities when she doesn't feel comfortable, and that's why she wants to hold on to her reservedness even while performing. Mr. Schuester doesn't know about any of this though. From his perspective, Marley just didn't fancy doing the task he specifically set. And so the entire situation could have been avoided if Marley had just told Mr.Schue beforehand why she didn't want to wear it. Finally, we come to a situation I like to describe as the blurred lines debacle. This episode contains a B-plot about Unique and her uncomfortability with using the boys' bathroom, but this story thread only ties into the A-plot at the end when Sue uses it as a bargaining chip to stop the twerk. You see, Sue understands twerking to be a sexual dance, and therefore does not think students should be doing it. And Will doesn't see it as a sexual dance, any more than any other type of dancing, and so believes it's perfectly fine for the students to be twerking. And that is what causes conflict in this episode. Will himself explains his philosophy about dance in general when pleading with the school board members.
In the 1920s, rebellious jazz babies shocked society by kicking up their heels to Charleston. In the 50s, everyone was scandalized by Elvis's pelvis. And then came a flood of dirty dancing. The twist, the pony, and heaven forbid, the mashed potato. All considered scandalous and sinful then. Now, with time and distance, thought of as quaint and innocent even.
His point here is that twerking will one day be considered a silly, nostalgic dance. And whether he is right or wrong, I think that clearly shows his intentions as nothing more than wanting to not disregard a type of dance simply because of the conservative views on it. So hopefully I've changed your opinion at least a little bit about the character of Will Schuester, but if not, and you've got more criticisms of this curly-headed man, I'd love your input down in the comments. If you want to see more of these video essay type videos, drop a like, because I really enjoyed making this video and I'd love to make more. And if you want to see any more of my stuff, then who knows, maybe throw a subscribe my way. No biggie, just a suggestion. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.